Blessed be to anybody that comes retrospectively. I'm sitting here with General Shinobi, and he's also Systematic Zoo. And we're going to have a little bit of a chat about numbers, about the symbols, and we're going to look at the elements, how they are represented, and what we can learn about the nature of being, reality, and the numerations that structure reality. We have with us General Shinobi, and welcome. It's an honor to be here, dear brother. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about the name of your channel, your zoo channel. I'd love to share that with people. I thought that was pretty cool when you told me.
What about it? Like why I've decided to call my channel Systematic Zoo?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, well, it was actually the name of a book I've got in the works, and this kind of story came to me a few years ago, and I think it's more based on, I guess, memories as well, of like our own collective story. And so anyway, I started looking into the world and what's going on around us, ancient history, like our future of AI and stuff, for research for my book, which I called Systematic Zoo, because it seems that we are all treated like animals, like this realm is a farm in a way, and it hasn't always been that way. But you have obviously big pharma, and you have now data farms extracting our data or our energy. And so yeah, I've called it Systematic Zoo because I've called my YouTube Systematic Zoo as well, and I've kind of put my book to the side for now, and I'm more focusing on like real world research and sort of trying to understand what's going on with our psyche, the world around us, where we've come from, where we're going. So I will be uploading clips from my book soon. I'm going to do some like monologues about that and stuff. But yeah, it just seems that we're kind of, especially now with AI, we're kind of being farmed for our energy, or for our gold, or our god, or our light, or our spark. So that's why I've called it Systematic Zoo, because what I wanted to do is have conversations with people and try and work out what's going on, delve into kind of Gnosticism, and like, is this a prison planet? Is it becoming a prison planet? Has it always been that way? Or is that just what one future could be? Like it's potential. So that's why it's Systematic Zoo, because every country there's kind of a systematic procedure going on in each country, where they kind of test different models, different ways of sort of controlling the populations via governments and stuff. So yeah, that's why it's the Systematic Zoo. And having conversations like this is trying to work out, has it always been this way? Is this our future? Like, is it a zoo right now? And how do we get out of it? How do we get here in the first place? Why are we here? You know.
Yeah, to answer that, has it always been like this? So I was just letting people know that we're live, and making sure that the volume is off my phone, because this is like when my mom normally calls. Like, oh, right, he must be on a live now. There's an idea. Let me call him. But yeah, it's interesting. When I was young, what was I? I was like 11, 12, and I discovered that they were lying to me at school about language and about history. And I was like, wow. And I was like really freaked out. Actually, when I was younger than that, I was freaked out. When I was like 9, I was really freaked out. I was like, they're not teaching us. They're trying to control us. they would like mold us into something else. And I was like I had that, like, I won't do what you told me. So, like I had that sort of that attitude in me as a kid. But when I was like 12 and I discovered Tartaria in an encyclopedia, and I went to school and they told me it was a conspiracy theory, that was where I was like, now I'm done. Now I'm done, because I can't even trust the encyclopedias. If I can't trust encyclopedias, then who can I trust? So I remember speaking to like adults, and they were like, yeah, we know, but it's just the way it is. It's always been that way. So the adults from my generation, from like 1989, told me that it had been like that when they were kids. So I think this has been going on a long time.
Yeah. I think that you have to have a certain stubbornness. I'm certainly very stubborn, but not in a bad way. More of like, in school, I was kind of zoning out of the indoctrination, because deep down I knew what they were telling us wasn't legit, because I was asking questions. I was questioning it, and I got into trouble for asking questions, because bless the teachers, it's not their fault. They're underpaid and just following a script. And when you go off script, they get a bit like, oh no, better send him out, because he's sort of asking questions, thinking outside of the box. I used to get a bit annoyed when they wouldn't answer me, or they would just kind of shut me down. But that's been, I think, my path in this lifetime, is just being like misunderstood and I guess shut down or whatever. But I'm beyond that. I've gone through the cave. I've come back outside. I've gone inwards, and then realized that actually the truth and the light is found in the dark. It's not found outside of ourselves. It's found inside of us. And certain people and music and symbols and artwork and the world reflected around us can trigger memories, like dormant memories that lie inside of us. So it's been very refreshing the last 4 years or so to connect with people, listen to podcasts. I feel a lot lighter and less heavy hearing that there's other people who have been on the same path, like uncovering these truths and stuff. And it's not for everyone. Lots of people are very oblivious to the deeper layers of reality, and that's fine. That's their journey. But I definitely believe that NPCs or whatever aren't born, they're created, and they're created in school, because some people will just listen to what they're told, take it as truth, and people are ground down so much that they build up lots of layers as well, so that when the truth does come in, they find it difficult to let it into their core, and that's why I'm so passionate about looking into this stuff and trying to find ways of navigating these waters to try and trigger dormant memories in people, because I don't think that NPCs, lots of people seem to be oblivious, and some people say that we got to plant seeds, but I believe that the seed is already there in everyone, and it's buried in the dark, because the tiny seed knew that in order to grow, it had to be buried in the dark. So the seed is there, and it was planted there a long time ago, waiting to bloom. And I think the Kairos opportune moment is now. The time is always now. And that this seed in every single light being here, every single human, just needs a little bit of water, a little bit of memory, a little bit of feeling, a little bit of the emotion, and a little bit of light. So a bit of water, the mother, the feminine, and a little bit of the light, the masculine. And then the light is the pitter patter, which comes down, shines light. And then the water, the memory, is the mutta matter. It's the frequency. And the lights above us are in water. The stars are frequencies as above. And inside of us, our DNA, our light, is inside water as well. So it seems that water is something that we need to cross over or go into to find this light. So yeah.
It makes me think about the firmament. It makes me, sorry, that's my mom. I told you, every time I go live, she starts phoning me. No, she's not watching. She's just sensing that now is the right time to phone him because he's live. I don't know how she does it. But yeah, the firmament that separates the waters above from the waters below. I was busy trying to share on Facebook and stuff because we just sort of just jumped on live. We were like, yeah, let's do it. Come on, what are you doing? I don't know. That's how we roll. So nobody really knows we're here. It's like it's a secret. Shh. But there's this firmament that separates the waters above from the waters below. There's some really interesting references. Is it the book of Job? Job? My Job. Is he a Job or is he just doing his job? But I think there's references to how the firmament separates the waters above from the waters below, and that the lights, the stars and the sun and the moon were put inside the sphere of the heavens in order to light the earth. And so it makes you think about like an inside earth, right? Like a concave earth or a hollow earth concept model, which is quite interesting. But that idea of the firmament that separates the waters above from the waters below, I think is something which is often sort of, we hear it said a lot and we don't really consider what it means. The nature of reality, water. Water is the boundary between physical reality and non-physical reality. And in Arabic lands, like many devout people will not use water at night because they don't want to attract the jinn. I don't know if you know that.
No.
They won't shower at night. They won't wash dishes at night. They'll wait until the morning or they'll do it before. So that's quite interesting. I've
just shared an image there. I'm not sure if you can see it. So yeah, that's the heart chakra, obviously. But what's interesting about this is that so talking of water and as above, so below, is obviously that's the symbol for as above, so below, or the hexagram associated with Saturn as well. And obviously Saturn is the god of boundaries, like time and space and density as well. And why this is interesting is because yam is, I think it's a mantra that you say to invoke the heart chakra, and yam is a water god or a sea god as well. And I think we've spoken about this before, but I think the heart is strongly associated to the water, to emotions, and also to Saturn as well, because the heart is connected to Anubis, which is obviously Anu, which is the father of Enlil and Enki, which would be Saturn. I view Anu as Saturn and Enlil and Enki as two polarities of Saturn, of time and space, like the two twins, the yin and the yang, whereas Anu or Saturn would be the yin yang, and time and space are just potentials that come out of that. And also in the center of the heart chakra is it looks like a U, which is much like the symbol for Ophiuchus, which would be in the center of the wheel. And on the outside of the petal, there are 12 petals, like 12 the 12 signs of the zodiac or the 12 disciples. So in the center would be the 13, or the Ophiuchus. And also with the Ophiuchus symbol, it's a U with a kind of wave through it, which resembles the serpent bearer, much like Christ. And the heart chakra is much like Christ as well. So yeah, I've been
this is sorry, do continue, dear brother.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say this is a really very important notion here, because this yam represents the unstruck sound, the element of air, and so it represents in the consciousness the sense of touch. And touch is touch is quite important, because it's how one thing relates to another thing, connects with another thing. It's oxytocin. It's the source of love. You speak about Christ. So there's that connection with touch and closeness. And air permeates as an element. So it permeates all things. And as a permeation agent, it connects you to me, to every other living being, because we're all breathing the same air, effectively. Even when we are like on the earth, and some creatures are in the soil, or some creatures are in the sea, there's still water creating a conduit of this air to move through the water to produce the oxygen required. So that's quite interesting, because it aligns us with the oxygen element, which is number 8 on the periodic table. Now, 8 is Saturn's number. So there's this relationship between 8 and 6, which is rather quite fascinating. And here's the interesting thing is, if you look at the flower of life, maybe I can pull up an image.
Also, as well, water contains air, and air contains water. So, as within, so without.
Absolutely. So do I have a good picture here? Yeah, we can get a sense of sort of these images of the flower of life. This is not a very good flower of life, though, is it? Well, this is quite interesting in itself. It's making me dizzy just looking at it. That's got to be a good thing, right? But yeah, we can see the basic flower of life. Let me share it to the space. Gonna get a little bit of image file, share screen. Yeah. Oh, by the way, when you share screen, just in case you didn't know, always put the volume tab off. Yeah.
Right.
Just so you know, because sometimes it creates echo and feedback. This is one of the things with StreamYard that's a little bit almost annoying. I think it's probably like that university with all of them. So here we've got the flower of life, and you can see there's a cube there, right?
Yeah.
Can you see the cube? It's like, if you look at it, there's a cube. And if you look at the expanded version of the flower of life, which is going outwards, there's the matrix.
Right? Yeah.
You'll see that there's octahedron as well. And so there's an octahedron there, there's a cube there, but it's all based on the number 6. So this relationship between the number 6 and the number 8 is somehow quite powerful and quite easy to overlook, because I think we've been taught to think in terms of like it's A or it's B. And we've not really been taught to consider, well, maybe it's C, D, and E, or in a combined manner. And so this is like really quite an interesting perspective, really, when you get right down to it. What is going on here? Why is this like this? This is a little bit annoying. There we go. Share this instead. So here we can see with the Saturn square, right? Just trying to get the size right. We can see with the Saturn square, if you look on the right, you can see those two opposing forces, right? Of the upward and the downward hexagram pulling apart to form rhombus, square type rhombus, four-sided geometric symbol. But then we can also see there's two arrows pointing toward each other, creating the force of pulling. And these two arrows here, which I don't know if you can see it. I hope I'm showing you well with I hope you can see my mouse. Also happens to be hexagonal shapes, right? So you've got two hexagons here. Two hexagons here, and they're both pointing towards each other, but you can see that it's a three-dimensional thing, right? It's a cube. And you can see that this cube has been folded open in this symbol, which is basically what we've got here. And here we've got the numbers 1 to 9, which add up to 45, right? If you add up all the numbers, which in itself is something for us to think about, which is quite interesting. But right in the center, we're always going to have the number 5. So there's this powerful 5 resonance of Mercury that's at the core and at the heart of the Saturn cube, and it's also at the core and at the heart of the hexagram, effectively. Even though the hexagram is number 6, it's an expansion of 5. So it's the 5 elements that expand into the hexagram. So it carries that fundamental vibration of 5 to become 6. It's like the series of progression. So it's quite interesting when we sort of start to look at this math. And I think you were talking about water before we got into this little rabbit hole. And the element of water, you know, MAME. So MAME, you were saying before, I think before we started, that the 13th letter, though the number of MAME in the Kabbalah is, or on the Paleo-Hebrew numerations of the letters, is 40. So it's the 13th letter, and it's number 40. And Nun, which is what comes after it, which is the fish, so you've got water 40 and fish 50. And when you put the water and the fish together, you end up with 90. And now you were talking about Christ. Yeah? That's like that number 90, that crossing the threshold of being reborn, number 9. So it's quite interesting when you start to consider, and here's an interesting point, that the letter MAME has got a double form, right? And having a double form, when you put it at the end of a word, it's closed, which represents water at rest. But when you put it in the middle or in the beginning of the word, it's open, which represents water in the state of movement. So that letter represents both rest and movement simultaneously, and can be used to signify rest or movement. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that the mem is related to 40, because Enki's number is 40, and then Enlil's number is 50. But it's just interesting that the number 50 is fish, because I'd equate the fish more to Enki for some reason. But if we go along with 50 being fish, that just made me think of school and the internet, because the 5 side of the enneagram is the thinking, and then Enlil is the wind, is the air, is the mind. And then the number 4 side is the feeling, which is more of like the Enki, the water and the earth, the heart. So this is interesting because obviously on a certain enneagram, can't remember which one it was, it's divided, the 4 and the 5. The thinking and the feeling is divided. And then with this one, the 4 and the 5 is connected, the thinking and the feeling. But it's just interesting that the 50 is the fish, because obviously a group of fish is a school, and the internet is what contains fish, like a net. You go into the net, and the internet is more of the thinking mind rather than the feeling mind as well. So also with the fish, I would like to sort of go a bit deeper into that very briefly, as why the number 50 is associated with the fish. Do you know why? Just quickly before we go on to that.
Well, it's numbers and letters were originally not separated. So the form of counting was in such a way. So Aleph, Bet, Gemal, Dalet, He, Vav, Zain, Het was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And Tet. And then you've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 with the next group of letters. So if you go like this, you go like Aleph 1, Bet 2, Gimal 3, Dalet 4, He 5, Vav 6, Zain 7, Het 8, Tet 9, Yot 10. Then you go Kaf 20, Lamet 30, Mime 40, Nun 50, Samek 60, Ayin, the I, that's a very important one, 70. Pe, and the mouth, 80. Tzadi, the fish hook, 90. And that's going to come back to the fish just now, the fish hook. That's Aquarius. Tzadi, 90. Kof, back of the head, 100. Resh, front of the head, 200. Shin, the tooth, 300. And Tav, the cross, the Tau cross, 400. Then the second form of mime at the end of the word becomes 500. The second form of nun at the end of the word becomes 600. Sorry. First, kaf becomes 500. Mime becomes 600. Nun becomes 700. Pe becomes 800. Tzadi becomes 900. And then Aleph, if it's at the end of a word, is written as a giant Aleph. And you see this in some of the ancient scripts. And it represents a number 1,000. So here you've got a counting system that goes from 1 to 9, 10 to 100, and 100 to 1,000. And so you can write words as numbers. Using that scale, you can write any number you want. Okay. And you can take that number and permute it into a word directly. You can create a new word using numbers and calculate what that word will mean and then figure out how to pronounce it. So the Sumerians were like, we inherited something of the speech that the Phoenicians were working out, because a lot of the Phoenicians sounded like Sumerian, but they really took the ancient Egyptian or the land of Chem's knowledge to create these symbols, but they did them based upon number. So sort of like the whole Hebrew alphabet has got a numerical value that goes from 1 to 1,000.
Cool.
And here's interesting, the Sastra chakra, which is the Samadhi chakra, the chakra you leave through when you leave this world, that is often associated with the number 1,000 too. That's why they call it the 1,000-petal lotus. And it's got 1,000 different colors in it. And those 1,000 colors are the 1,000 fundamental qualities that are all mixed and combined in different ways to produce all the qualities that we experience in reality. So that number 1,000 is sort of like rather fundamentally important.
Perhaps we need to live 1,000 lifetimes before we move on to the next place, or some people, or perhaps we've even already lived 1,000 lifetimes, and this is what the memory is. Like, we come into this realm without memory, or like unable to access the memory like straight away, but it's there, and then it's about sort of collecting the fragments along the way. So that's interesting. So there's not 1,000 there's not 1,000 chakras. So there's
well, there are actually thousands of chakras. I mean, you got like tiny chakras in your hand, tiny chakras in your fingers. How many chakras in the human body? I actually don't know, but I know there's thousands. That's an interesting question. How many thousands of chakras in the human body? How many thousands of chakra in human body? I wonder if Google will even be able to tell us that. I'm guessing that they won't. Okay, so the 114 main chakras, but there could be 88,000 in the subtle body altogether. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is an interesting number. 88, right? Talking about Saturn. 8 plus 8 is 16, is 7. Brings us back to the 7 base chakras. So that's quite an interesting little concept there, to where those numbers.
Yeah, the number 8.
Namaste, Jamuni.
Hey, Kobe.
Sorry, brother.
Hey, Moonfeather. Yeah, I was just saying that the number 88's come up a few times this year. Like Klaus Schwab was 88 when he left the World Economic Forum. I think the number 88 popped up again to do with the World Economic Forum as well. It's also to do with the musical scale. There's 52 white keys and 36 black keys, so 88 keys on a standard piano as well.
And that's not by accident, is it?
No.
Which is rather interesting if you get right down to it, because the whole notion of 11 cycles of 8, and that 11 number is a number which is such an awkward number to permute. I don't know, what are your thoughts? You know, number 13 obviously is a relation to water. 13, 40, but I think that the 13 relates to the crystallization potential of water. You know how water will crystallize things?
Yeah.
It will dissolve things, right? And after dissolving things, it will recrystallize them.
The generator, the order, and destroyer. The God.
Yeah.
The guardian of dimensions.
That's like a really interesting point. You know, this number 13. I think there's been a lot of speculation regarding the number 13, and people saying, well, there's 13 astrological signs, but then they speak about, you know, the one that's just before Scorpio, right?
We're talking about Ophiuchus.
Yes, Ophiuchus.
No, Ophiuchus is after
Just
Scorpio, I
after
believe.
Scorpio.
Yeah,
Sorry.
in
Just
between
after
Scorpio and
Scorpio.
Sagittarius. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. In order for that to make a cycle of 13, you have to chop up two of the other signs. And you break the continuity of the months. Then you've got like 30 days, 31, 30, 31, 30, 31, 30, 31,
Well,
22,
no,
3,
we'd have
26.
20 with a 13-month moon calendar. We'd have 28 days each month, and every first day of the month would start on a Monday. It would make much more sense, and I think that they used to have a 13-month calendar, unless I'm mistaken. But it does
The
make
thing
more
is, though,
sense. Yeah.
we're talking about the ascendant. So, like right now, we are in, let's say right now we're in Scorpio, right? So at a particular point in Scorpio, Scorpio will be on the ascendant at sunrise.
My ascendant Scorpio.
Yeah. So what I mean is it's each sign, the number of days added to each sign isn't just, we viewed that astronomically. Does that make sense? So if you add the other one in, it doesn't change the date of Aries, because Aries is still seen in that sky at that time of the year, and Leo is at that time of the year. And so the only difference is you would then have to shorten Sagittarius and shorten Scorpio and make space for that sign. But the other signs wouldn't be affected, because to do that you'd have to change the order of the wheel. Like that, you for example, the moon calendar is a very different calendar, right? But the moon would still be in that sign, because the moon moves through this sign. So the moon would spend 2.5 days in every sign, and then it would get to that sign. It would spend like 6 hours in that sign, and they would spend like 1.8 days in that sign and 2.1 days in that sign, in order to account for it. So those three signs would be thrown out of balance. I think like when we had 13 moon calendars, we didn't use the 12 zodiac, because there are 88 constellations, aren't there?
Ah, interesting.
Well, I think there are more.
Well, there's infinite everything, isn't there? You know, we just give it a number and stop there. But, you know.
Is there 88 constellations? I believe there are. But like, are they recognized? I think there are more. Yeah, so there are 88 officially recognized constellations. So out of those 88, you can take 13, but then you'll have a different, like maybe that was a time when we had the bear and the wolf, right? And all these other, so like the constellation wheel that we're using is one based on 12. To use a 13 wheel cycle, we'd have to throw them all out and start from scratch and look by observation which one comes. And there would be, so you could make a 13 wheel, and there probably have been 13 wheels that would have been used. One imagines.
Maybe this has just come to me now, is that maybe the 13, because it seems that the 13 and the snake and it have all been kind of cast out of our minds, and Ophiuchus, or the 13, seems to be in the center, but we seem to be in the center. So perhaps this serpent bearer, the serpent or snake being DNA, is us. Apparently, maybe we're the Ophiuchus, and Ophi is obviously wisdom, which is Sophia, so it ties into Sophia as well. Like, that is us. We are all fragments of Sophia. So maybe perhaps the constellation isn't up there, but it's in here, and we are the center of the wheel. And then this is I'm so drawn to the number 13, and in all of its forms, like the death card is number 13, 13 being mem. You add them together and you get 4 or 40, which is Enki, and then you have 4th phase water as well, which is like a hexagram. And 4th phase water is when water's in a state of plasma, so it's not a gas, solid, or liquid. It's a different form. And then this ties in as well to Saturn, the hexagram as above, so below, and the North Pole, which is Kairos, which is opportune time, opportune moment, water, flow time, the timeless. And that also ties into artificial intelligence as well, because data farms have called themselves Kairos. I was searching this earlier and I found that this, let me try to find it now, this data farm, it's something to do with, it's Kairos TVA. And I remember the TVA was in the Loki TV series. It was the to do with the like time travel and stuff. So I'm like Kairos, Saturn, time, and then it's called TVA. I'm going to try and find it now. But I remember a couple of weeks ago you were talking about these data farms, and I just searched one up quickly, and it was called Kairos Mercury. So it seems that this Mercury and Kairos have been cast out of our minds, whereas it's just more Chronos, chronological, old father time, this very linear, square, boxed. But this watery magic is around us. It is being used, but most people don't really know how to tap into this water, to this watery energy.
When you say data farm, you're talking about what I call the beast buildings.
Yeah, one of them was called Kairos Mercury. It was one of the 50 gigawatt ones in America. Because I remember I searched it and it blew my mind, because I'd just like
the amount of water.
Well, yes, and it's Kairos, which is water, but it's more of the water. North is the water, and the south is the air of Saturn, because you have PSI, pounds per square inch, which is air and water. Like when you're diving, we dive into the abyss to find information. PSI is a psyop, pounds per square inch. You've got to get through the density, and Saturn obviously is the planet of density and time and space, and also boundaries. But it seems that in the north, Kairos is the water element, and that the south, the eye, the observer, is more of the air element. They both complement each other, and air is in water, water is in air. This ties into Aquarius also, that an air sign and the water bearer too. But yeah, man, those data farms are nuts that you that we were talking about before.
Yeah, man. So I'm just looking here, and you mentioned the 50 megawatts. A 50 megawatt data farm, right?
Yeah.
And 50 megawatt data farm means, I mean, that's incredible, right? That's 438,000 megawatts per year, right? And 1 million people could need 11,000 megawatts per year. Digest that for a minute. So 438,000 divide by 11, right? Divide by 11,000. 11, 1, 2, 3. will tell us how many millions of people this can support in a year. 438 million people. So that's a lot of electricity. And relevant to the electricity that uses, I don't know what it takes to cool that kind of megawatts down. They're using trillions of liters of water. Colossus. Yeah, Mooney. Man, these people are totally insane, right? They want to use all of our electricity and all of our water to cool these monster towers down, these buildings. They're literally buildings, and they've just got like nano processing units in them. And so I don't know if you got that stat, right? That's 438 million people. Right?
Did you say the water's cooling these engines down?
Just, I want you to imagine, how many megawatts did you say?
It was 50 gigawatts or
50 megawatts, huh?
A lot of zeros.
Like a megawatt, to understand how much electricity a megawatt is, electricity produces heat, right? If I use just 1,000 watts, I'm going to give you I'm going to break this down for you guys. Let's say I go and I crank up my grow room, and I decide I'm going to hit my plants. I got a nice big grow room. And I've got the lights to do it. I've got 1,200. I've got it set up with a potential 1,200 watts, 1.2 gigawatt system. Do you know how much heat that produces? LED, just that 1.2 thousand watts, 1,200 watts. So imagine when we're talking megawatts. Every bit of electricity needs cooling. So what they do is they've got high pressure cooling systems that are running water at like an incredible rate over these systems to keep the buildings cool.
Yeah.
Because like the amount of heat, like imagine your laptop without a fan. Now your laptop is what, 40 watts?
Something like that.
Now imagine those 40 watts when you turn them into kilowatts, and you turn those kilowatts into megawatts. Air can't do it. They use water. They use trillions of liters of water per year.
Yeah.
To cool these monster towers down.
Mooney said that China's built a supercomputer under the water, and I've heard about this. And water is a supercomputer in itself. Like water carries information and memory and storage and data, and perhaps this water is being used to cool these computers, or perhaps this water is being used for them to extract data or to communicate with another dimension, because obviously water is a portal as well. So yeah, perhaps it is being used to cool these computers, or this water is being used to sort of decipher outcomes of reality also. Who knows? I definitely think that the future of computing is going to be integrated with water, but it's going to be tapping into water, not necessarily being used to just cool it down. I think that future computers will be related to like water and light, and how a frequency in water creates light and can open up another dimension. And I really think that, the more and more that we get detached from water, it seems, in all its forms, the powers that be, these tech companies, are tapping into the potential of water.
So yeah, we've got Terraco says it's completed a JB4. Let me share it. So this is Tech Central. Just so people know that we're not making this up. We are not just sucking our thumbs. So Terraco says it's completed a JB4, a 50 megawatt data center. right? And let me make this a bit bigger so that's easier if everybody can see it and read it for themselves. So South Africa's largest data center operator, Teraco, has completed its latest build project, JB4, a 50 megawatts AI-ready facility. This is just South Africa, right? And that's 50 megawatts, right? Now, when you're speaking about megawatts, if you say 50 megawatts, that means if I say a kilowatt, in my home, in your home, you use kilowatts of power, right? That's 1,000 watts. A megawatt is 1,000,000 watts, right? So this data center uses 50 million watts per hour, right? Just to break it down for people. So what we do then is we take, how many hours are there in a year? There are 8,760 hours in a year, right? We take 8,760 and we multiply that by 50, right? And we end up with 438,000 megawatts. Yeah. Then you look here and you see a medium-sized city might require hundreds or even thousands of megawatts. 1 million people could need 11 megawatts annually, right? So when we're talking about like incredible amounts of electricity, and if you imagine like how much heat is generated, how much heat does 50 megawatts generate? Like it's a significant amount of 50 million joules of heat every second. Yeah. 50 million joules of heat every second. And so just to consider that for a moment, like that's a lot of energy. That you don't just cool that down easily. You got to run water through that, and running water through it means you got to have a consistent supply of cool water, and the water that comes out there is hot, warm, right? So like it's a continual process, and it doesn't just end. So this is just one in South Africa. Now I've heard of 500 megawatt builds happening in the world. I haven't seen evidence of it, but I've heard people talking about them, right? This is a small one that's being built locally. This is just a 50 megawatts. When you're dealing with 500 megawatts, you're dealing with a whole nother scale, right, of amount of power being used and generated. So there's definitely a big cause for and yeah, they said the new data halls are liquid to liquid cooling, enabled, allowing clients to deploy high density air cool cloud deployments and direct to chip cooling for dense artificial intelligence workloads. So, this is just South Africa's one. And like, to be honest, we're not a big, right? We're not a very big country. We have a big economy. We're building 50 megawatt AI towers here.
Well, it's interesting, obviously, because we're talking about numbers and the number 50 being thinking. Of course, it's 50 megawatts, not 40 megawatts or 60. It's 50 because that's the thinking number. That is the number of Enlil, the god of the air, the mind, right? Because there's another 50 megawatt nuclear power center in Tennessee, which is called Cairo's Mercury. So it's Google, Kairos Power, and the Tennessee Valley Authority have agreed to supply 50 megawatts of nuclear power to data centers in Tennessee and Alabama. And under the agreement, Kairos Hermes 2 plant in Oak Ridge will feed up to 50 megawatts into the TVA grid. The TVA is the Time Variance Authority in Loki. This is no coincidence. They're using Kairos Mercury, this time and water, to feed these data centers. There's something going on behind the scenes here. This isn't just building AI. This is messing with reality. It's altering reality, altering time and our perception of it. It definitely warrants further research, for sure. And it's just interesting that obviously in South Africa, you say they have a 50 megawatt data center, and then they have a 50 megawatt one in America as well, probably more as well around the world.
Well, my sense is that's just what they're telling us. They haven't told us about the other ones that are under construction. And my impression is like South Africa's building them. So they must be building like 50 of these across America, right? And then they must be building them all around every country. The UK is probably going to have like 5 or 10 or 15 of them. America's a big country. They've got a lot of resources, right? They've got a lot of oil. They've got a lot of coal. They've got a lot of nuclear power. They can just pump power into this. And, all the other countries, by the time you look at the global footprint, you're going to have thousands of these, or 1,000. I wouldn't be surprised. Because if countries as small as South Africa are building them, then you've got to imagine every country is going to build at least 1 or 2 or 3 of them, right? So before you know it, you've got 300 or 400 of them, just like that, bang. And then the bigger countries not just going to build 1 or 2 or 3, they're going to build like 10 or 20. So when you start adding it up, like 600, 700, 800, we're talking like a significant number of these things. And these things are eating an incredible amount of power. And this power grid that's being fed, that we're being told about, I'm guessing that's not the only one supplying. You see, they can't take power from one place. They got to siphon a bit of power from one state, a bit of power from one, a bit of power from one to run these things. And they're telling us about 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, I'm just sharing my screen there, just so people can see what I'm talking about, that I'm not making it up. Here we go. Google, Kairos Power, and the Tennessee Valley Authority. The deal makes TVA the first utility to purchase power from generation 4. Is that 4 or 1 in a V? Anyway, a bit further down here, it says that the Google Kairos deal will ultimately support 500 megawatts of advanced nuclear capacity. I think where it said something to do with the year 2035. I can't see that anymore though. That's weird. But yeah, so 500 megawatts they're aiming to go up to. That's really strange. I was just looking at this and it said something about by 2035. Oh, there we go. Yeah, by 2035, it will be able to deliver 500 megawatts of power. So you go from 50 megawatts to 500 megawatts. So it's not even just, they're using the 50, the number 5 again, the thinking. Oh, is Bush Whisperer gone? It's just me now. Alrighty then.
I'm not on you, brother. It just flipped off.
Yeah. Also, with like sort of talking about energy and water and the thinking and feeling, the 4 and the 5. There are MEMS, which is smart dust, which is like this next generation of technology, which will be we'll use 6G. And the reason it's interesting is because MEMS, these tiny little particles, can be powered by ambient light, and our aura emits ambient light. So we could be potentially powering this. Like I do know, I'm not going to say just feel, I know that our energy is going somewhere else where it shouldn't. Like we feel drained from, I know I get that there's fear in the news, the monetary system is draining us and all of that jazz, but it goes a bit deeper than that. Like there's a reason we have blue light on our screens, because blue light pulls, it takes away. That's why we feel drained. And also there's LED lighting, which is blue light, which we've spoken about before. There's a project blue beam, which is like to project. Like Project Bluebeam is there's so much to it. It's not just an alien invasion. It's kind of detaching us from source or God via magnetism. And there's subtle ways of doing that, which is like lights around us is kind of pulling some energy out of us. And I definitely believe that it's going somewhere. Even if you look at like ancient structures, they do look like circuit boards as well. And it's like this realm seems to be like turning into some kind of like energy harvesting device. I know people to talk about like prison planet and all this. It's like it hasn't always been that way. It's like where we're heading, to me, seems like hell. And I don't mean hell as in the fiery inferno. To me, what hell would be is frozen. It would be an inverno, not an inferno. It would be cold, sort of frozen, like ice, fearful. And there would be machines doing everything, people not talking to each other. It's like where we're kind of heading now is that we're heading towards that trajectory, which is one potential. It doesn't mean that we're definitely going to go there, but I think it's important to bring it up and talk about it. It's like we're kind of deceived into thinking that hell is this fiery place, whereas really, like if you think about it, hell is more like the winter. It's kind of like this kind of where crops don't grow. It's frozen and ice. And I think that lots of people, the inside, our chakras or our wheels are frozen. Like there's ice walls that we've put up, like layers or barriers via trauma and stuff. And I've heard stories of people when they do energy work that people go to the toilet afterwards to sort of like flush away all this water. It's like the ice walls or the dams that people have constructed have been broken down. So yeah, a bit of a side weave there. should we get back to the numbers?
No, I think there's a lot in this. And namaste. We've got our tuition. Namaste. We've got Hollowbone Hawk, and coffee stains mug. So Jan, I think that like what you were saying earlier is really interesting about the water as well. So on the one hand, we've got an astronomical amount of waste of electricity, an astronomical amount of water being wasted, right? That's just on the physical level. Now, on the spiritual and psychological levels, the cost of living is going up. Is it true that the people in the UK, the older people, are having to choose between having 3 meals a day and staying warm in winter?
I can't comment on that, but I can comment that last year 30,000 pensioners died of what's it called when you get really cold? Hypothermia. Because Keir Starmer.
I think that's the answer.
Yeah,
I think that's the answer.
Yeah, Keir Starmer is part of the Fabian Society, and was listening to a podcast about what they're about earlier, and yeah, so there's that.
So
But yeah,
just to give you like a notion that 500,000 homes being powered for a year is what we're talking about with this one data center that you were talking about. That's more than 500,000 homes. That's complete 500,000 homes. Everything, heating, cooling, power, cooking, everything, hot water, the works. But now, what about the energetic element? Like, there are all of the water that's running over this AI systems being programmed, right? Think about Immortal and think about those ice crystals for a moment. So the water's running. Namaste, Shequills. How are you? I hope you're good. So imagine how the information running through these circuits are imprinting information onto the water. And then that water is being given to people to drink. So what kind of magic can we do? I mean, holy water is pretty much a big part of Christianity. It's a big part of every religion. It's a big part of every kind of ritual. Yeah. Empowering water. And water has this imprintability. It's been fairly well sort of displayed, even under sort of scientific analysis. And you can do it at home. You can charge water with words, thoughts, feelings. So imagine this AI system that's got all of our private data, and it's scrunching all of our data and it's putting it into this water that's running over it. What kind of room for magic does this open up for dark wizards to play, hitty kitty with us?
Yeah, well, the money ties into AI as well, because on the dollar bill you have the pyramid with the capstone on top. And the capstone, I had a brilliant chat with Moonfeather yesterday about all this, is that the capstone is Cancer constellation, and that is the eye where the light comes through. And so obviously with Cancer, that's the water sign, so the capstone is related to water. And the pyramid on the dollar bill has 13 steps to it as well. So water and gold are both linked to the number 13, because water is obviously mem, the 13th letter, and then also gold is AU, and A is the number 1, and then U is 21. So there you have the 13. A is 1, the U is a 3. And gold and water both are to do with currency, like the currents of an ocean of the water and an electrical current. And both water and gold don't dissolve or die. Like, water is immortal. So you mentioned about wasting water. I would say it's more of a misuse of water, a misuse of magic, because this water is being misused and is kind of being siphoned away from us. Our water bills are going to start going up, as well as food prices and all that jazz, even though there's infinite water and it's all around us inside the earth and stuff. So yeah, the tale of Narcissus comes to mind as well, talking about water and AI and memory and goals, just kind of linking all these things together and putting it into Narcissus, because the story of Narcissus, his twin sister was killed, which if you look on YouTube and watch any of the videos, they don't show his sister, they leave his sister out. But he had a twin sister who was killed. And when Narcissus was looking into this pool of water, he thought he could see his sister's reflection, so he was staring into it. Now, his sister is this water he was looking into is the gnosis. He was trying to know his sister, which is the feminine, which is the subconscious, the kind of backstage of our psyche. And you have Echo on the sideline, who kept repeating everything he was saying, kind of rooting him to the spot. And Echo is this artificial intelligence sort of echoing back to us, because Echo is more of an air. it's kind of this reverberation, it's kind of this air, more of this thinking. So it's this artificial tricking us into thinking that we are the only things that matter. Like we're the only mind is the conscious mind, kind of pushing away the subconscious, pushing away the gnosis. And know thyself comes to mind as well here, because to know ourselves, we need to look into the water, we need to go through the waters and connect with the lost part of ourselves, which is this subconscious, this kind of more feminine water. So yeah, you're also with money as well, as mentioned earlier, that obviously it relates to water as well, like the currency, it's stuck in the banks, and gold is also stuck in the banks. Like the physical gold is stuck in the banks, and money is a kind of magic. It's the one energy, the mon-e. It's the energy that, like, we work, we use our time, we emit our light, and emit is an anagram of time. So we emit our light, we shed our light, we give it away for money. And then in this digital sort of era we're heading into, with digital programmable money, it ties into this digital identity, because like money can be programmed, we can be programmed as well. Yeah. Yeah, man. So you have the A and the U. The A is the first letter and U is the 21st letter. So you have a 13 there.
You notice it's a cubic structure, yeah? Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a cubic crystal structure. And 445 and 106. These are the different orbitals. So it's like, there's something quite interesting about gold, you know. Obviously, it's like, it's number 79, which is really interesting because it breaks back to 7. And on one side of the dot, we've got 196, which is 7, right? And on the other side of the dot, we've got 17 plus 7 is 24, 33. Yeah? Check me if I'm right. 12, 18, 24, 33. Yeah. So on the right-hand side of the dot, we've got 33. Yeah. And on the left-hand side of the dot, we've got 16, which is 7. 7 and 6. But we've then got the 79. That's its atomic number. And what's quite interesting about the nature of gold specifically is that it's untarnishable. So it's like it will live longer than anything else. It will exist. Isn't that an interesting concept?
Yep. The same with water. Water never dies. It just moves from one form to the other. Gas, solid, liquid, plasma, goes through solid objects. It defies time and space. I forgot to add to my story of Narcissus and the water and AI is that the subconscious contains our gold. So you've got to go into the water, into the dark, the subconscious, to find the gold. So water and gold are connected in many ways.
You know, here's an interesting point. So water is the substance of life when it is slowing down. So imagine like life is the field that's carrying consciousness, and that field of life starts to slow down and congeal. And that congealing, solidifying of this substance, we see as water. So like water and life are so intrinsically connected. It's the one universal thing that all living beings require is consistent water. And then gold is like the idea of thought and consciousness. The thought starting to slow down. And as thought starts to slow down and congeal, it crystallizes. So it crystallizes into gold. So these are like alchemical recipes for like gold is the thought of our consciousness, and life is the field through which the thought of our consciousness is able to move. So gold and water are like together. And it's very interesting what water does in its diamagnetic and dielectric qualities. So water will be repelled by weak electromagnetic fields, right? So the water will literally be repelled. What an interesting concept. And so there's a certain threshold at a so-called, what they've taught us to believe about black holes, whatever these phenomena are, where it repels water because of this diamagnetic function of water, which is quite interesting. It moves the opposite direction of what you expect because of the so-called gravity. But here's another thing: is in the creation of Ormus, the philosopher's stone, the white gold, not white gold, the monatomic gold. It's a little white sort of powder, white stone. This Ormus white stone, alchemized gold, one of the things that it does is it can change the mass of objects. It can make things heavier or lighter. Is that like it's quite a mind-blowing concept if you think about it. And this was one of the tests that would be done. And not only can it change things to make it heavier or lighter, it can actually move the electrons around to put them into different orbitals. And so gold and lead are so very close to each other because there's not a lot of movement between the electrons required to shift the electron state of lead till it becomes gold. So this is where the alchemist idea of turning lead to gold, I don't believe that it was supposed to be the goal. I think it was the test. I think you made Ormus so that you could eat it. And in the process of eating it, your DNA would wrap itself around these monatomic gold, little monatomic gold threads. And the DNA would become laced upon this, which means that your telomeres wouldn't be getting shorter. What an interesting concept. Because every time that DNA destroys itself, it has to but if it's wrapped around gold, then it would have no reason to degrade, because that free radicals that cause degradation of this would be repelled by the gold, right? So it's a very interesting concept of like the ancient Egyptians and the manna from heaven that we hear about in the Bible that the ancients used to eat, and how this would prolong their lives. And so we've got these king's lists that many anthropologists say can't be real. Namaste, Howard. How you doing? I hope you're good, man. Hope you're well. And these king's lists list kings living for like thousands of years, right? How do you do that? Or maybe Ormus. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Ormus?
Muted myself there. Moonfeather's brought it up recently in a couple of chats, like almost is taking monatomic gold to help get rid of what was it? get rid of like heavy metals and to get rid of oh god, what was it? I know it's really good for helping with the injections in 2020 and whatever they contained. Nanoparticles, right? Yeah. Monatomic gold can help get rid of nanoparticles, basically. And also, I relate the kind of alchemy of lead and gold to Saturn, because there was the golden age of Saturn. Obviously, the metal for Saturn now is lead, but you have the north pole of Saturn, the hexagram, which is more of water, or this opportune moment, or this kind of more of gold energy. But then the south is the observer, like the eye, which kind of reminds me of this LED or LED lighting, which is kind of observing us and messes up with our perception of reality via its flicker rate. And also, it reminds me of the split wave particle experiment, where everything is a wave, like watery potential around us, and then when observed, it collapses into matter, like collapses into like this lead or this more dense energy. So the lead to gold, I guess, is just your perception of reality, and it's how we perceive time, and how we emit our light as well, because we measure light by the amount of light. We measure time by the amount of light emitted. So going from lead to gold is very interesting. But yeah, on Ormus, I don't really know too much about it. I do know it's very good for you to take monatomic gold or colloidal gold. That was it. I'm just going to turn my camera off for a second because I need to switch rooms because the kids are back any minute. So I'm just going to turn my camera off and tidy up.
Yeah, the colloidal gold is, I think it's a little bit different, but the colloidal gold has been a big part of Ayurveda for a long, long time, and silver. I've got colloidal silver here. It's this powerful antibacterial agent. Colloidal gold, I imagine you make that by using a disperser in fluid, yeah, using electrolysis, the same way you make colloidal silver. But the ormus is actually something different. The ormus is where the gold is actually transmuted into a different form of gold, which is quite interesting. And there's been reports that if you're holding ormus and you put it next to another object, it can make that object light or heavy. So you could maybe you could make a car light enough that you could pick it up and carry it on your shoulder, with enough ormus, for example. Oh, Mooney, yeah, I'm sure that colloidal gold must be really good for you, because I'm sure it's going to run through your system, and it's going to probably be like lots of little magnets, isn't it? And everything's going to stick to the colloidal gold, and when it comes out the other end of your system, it's going to carry all the naughty bits with it, So it probably must be like really, really good. I know that they also eat gold in India. They refine it, and they actually put it into their Ayurvedic foods. So I used to eat my gold when I was living in India, Ayurvedically prepared gold. So there's definitely something to that. And another thing that I would look at, like when we're talking about gold and water, the way in which water generates electricity and energy, like these fields, you have these biofields, and these fields have got polarities of positive and negative, and they manifest, abundance of like positive ions of hydrogen or negative ions of hydrogen. And the negative ions are obviously conducive towards health of normal living organisms, where the positive ions are considered conducive towards good health of anaerobic organisms. The aerobic organisms all thrive on the negative ionic charge, like we're aerobic. And an anaerobic would be like some disastrous kind of germs that eat decaying stuff, right? Where that is producing an anaerobic effect in terms of the mutation of what's being considered and eaten. So this polarities of positive and negative are like very much a part of health, and managing these. We consider this as negative and positive in terms of alkalinity and acidity, and most of us tend to carry too many positive ions in our bodies, which is why we're acidic, and that acidity actually makes one weak and more susceptible to getting ill. So I think that to cut a long story short, Mooney, I'm sure that this colloidal gold will somehow play a role in managing and balancing that pH levels in the body. I don't know if you guys are following me. I hope I'm not going too deep into the pond here, but I think that it's going to somehow perhaps have a mitigating effect. And this is just off the top of my head. I don't really know this, to be sure. I probably should look it up before I say it. But that's interesting, I think there's definitely something to it. Colloidal gold effects on pH in body. Maybe it has been researched, maybe it hasn't. You can't always trust. So they say colloidal gold does not directly affect the body's pH. I like the way they've chosen to word that. Not directly. So they obviously can't say that it doesn't affect the body's pH, but what they'll say is it doesn't directly affect that, which I can sort of factors influencing the effects of colloidal gold. The effects and toxicity of gold nanoparticulates, which make up colloidal gold, are complex and depend on several properties. So yeah, they're trying to warn us against the colloidal gold, which I find quite funny, because this has been getting used in Ayurvedic medicine for thousands of years. This isn't some new fringe medicine that someone's come up with. This is an ancient, tried and tested form of medicine that has worked. And if it wasn't working in Ayurveda thousands of years ago, they would have phased it out and used a different form of medicine. But they've had results, which is why I'm pretty sure that Chinese medicine probably also uses it. I wonder, does it? I wonder. Yes, traditional Chinese medicine has historically used gold for its supposed therapeutic properties, with ancient texts detailing its use to treat ailments like seizures, heart palpitations, and infections. So modern scientific research has verified some of gold's medicinal properties, particularly the use of gold compounds in medicine for treating conditions like rheumatoid arthritis. So that's interesting, AI wants us to be scared of colloidal gold. What does that tell you? Let's go and run out and get some quickly. Namaste. How are you doing? Rodney, I hope you're good. I hope you're well. I hope you're thriving. Yeah, Mooney, lead. Oh my gosh. Lead is a big one, huh? And they've unleaded the fuel now, haven't they?
Have they?
Have they removed the lead from the petrol? Most of the fuel is unleaded. So what do they put in instead of the lead? I wonder.
Interesting. I wonder why they
Because when you buy,
first place.
well, this is what I'm thinking. You know, like why was there lead in it? Maybe fuel needed the lead. You know, until it didn't. That fuel really needed the lead until it didn't. There's definitely something to consider there. Some interesting questions. You know, more questions than anything else.
Yeah. So I'm just going to share an image here. Oh, 1 second. I'll be right back.
Well, I'll. Are you back? That was quick, brother.
No, it's fine. I just heard my son Orion come back, so he might come and say hi in a sec. So that's fine. Just I can hear him. Oh yeah.
Daddy, can I play on the iPad?
What does Mummy say? Do you want to go ask her?
Yeah.
Okay. Bless him.
Oh, he's really cute, man. He looks a bit like you, dude.
Yeah, we've both got green eyes, and then Bodhi, my other one, he's got his mother's eyes. So yeah, he can be cute sometimes.
Yeah, I know. I've got one too.
Yeah.
But wait until he gets to like he's 9 years old. Yo, he's ready to take over the world domination. That's when the fun starts. I'm sure that the fun just doesn't stop, though. You know.
No. So Orion is an Aquarius, and Bodhi, who's 4, is Cancer. And it's very interesting, like the different personalities they have, but then looking at the zodiac as well. Very interesting.
Joshua's a Leo with a moon in Taurus.
Right.
So he's very stubborn, very headstrong, very fiery.
Yeah.
Exactly the same as me, as his dad. So, you know, we get each other. His mom doesn't get him. I just get him. I'm like, yeah, I get him. Like, I remember being that age. Yeah, I get where you're at. You know.
Yeah.
So you were going to share an image to your brother.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find them because I've got my thing is being disorganized. I'm just like I'm the embodiment of chaos. Chaos. Yeah, just it's good chaos, but sometimes it's quite difficult to like find stuff. Like it's all here, and I'm like trying to find it. And it's the same like on my computer. I've got like I think on my phone I have 500 tabs open.
Oh, it's bad news. Bad news.
But it's the same.
Close this tab, dude.
But some of those tabs, like my screenshots, I might need to go back to because, you know, I've kind of opened up a tab, like I've heard something interesting, opened a tab, so I need to go. I can't just delete them all. I need to go back through them because there might be some important stuff in there. But it's the same in my mind. There's so many tabs open that it takes me a while sometimes to find find the right thing. So yeah, it's the same chaos on my computer as well. But I've started organizing it today.
Rodney's bringing up an interesting point here about lead. I've actually advised a number of my clients to go to the local hardware store and to buy thin sheets of lead. Yeah, you can buy a lead roll of lead. So I've had clients come to me and I've said, listen, what you want to do is you go to the hardware store, you buy a sheet of lead, and you you screw it into the wall, right? And you fill the whole wall with a sheet of lead, and then you put wallpaper over it. Because like they a lot of people get affected by these smart meters, by the way. Do you have a smart meter in your home?
I live in a flat, and in the basement, not under us, but on the other side of the building, there's about 5 smart meters. And I do
Right.
know that when they catch fire, you can't put them out. So I've been meaning to go down and dispose of them, which I probably will do.
Dispose of them.
Yeah, unplug them, stick them in a bag, chuck them in the bin. I don't want them. I don't want them plugged in. Like, you know how those pages in Iran were set off by Mossad. You know, did you hear about that?
No, share it with us.
Yeah, people's pages in Iran. I think it was in Iran. Where was that? Yeah, Hezbollah pages explode, and these pages, the name Apollo is in there with the company that made them. They were detonated by Mossad remotely, and the same thing can happen with smart meters. I think that's what happened in LA with the LA fires, because lots of these buildings which caught fire, the outside of the building was fine, like the trees and stuff. It seems that the fires were started from inside. So I don't trust smart meters, because once they catch fire, oh yeah, by the way, if you have a smart meter, they can turn off your power remotely, so they can do stuff remotely. Could they set fire to them? Potentially. So yeah, man.
Well, look at it like this. The smart meter can be controlled remotely. So it can maybe, I mean, I don't know. You would imagine the amount of current going through it is consistent, right? But maybe it can, maybe there's some way to affect it for a shutdown, and that shutdown can have a problem when it's still operating. I don't know. You know, it sort of makes sense, I suppose. It's like if you're driving a car and you suddenly turn off the engine, right? Some of these new smart cars, everything else will just seize up, right? Your brakes and everything, all of these things are like connected. These smart cars, they're not like, if you're driving an electric car, yeah, and the engine just turns off, basically you're gonna roll, or you're gonna skid all over the road. You're probably gonna, you're gonna have a wipe. So who knows what?
I've brought up this image because it relates to lead and to gold, because Moonfeather brought up earlier that when you cross over the river Styx, you have to give Charon 2 gold coins called obols. So it's like you've got to exchange gold when you cross over. Now, what is that gold? It's not literally a coin. It's your story. It's your store of energy. It's relating to your DNA, and it's vital to hold on to this essence of this gold, which is inside us, which is in the cave, buried in the subconscious, whatever. It's this kind of energy, which is a store of energy, which is a story, like a library is where the light is buried. This does tie into the Akashic records. Maybe that's not the right word for it, but this kind of this light, this memory is inside us. And when you die and when you cross over, the journey we take is in our mind. The rivers in our mind. One of the rivers is called the Arcon. The other is called the Styx. another one of the rivers is oh god, what was it? I can't remember what it was, but anyway, one of the moons of Pluto is called is Chiron, I think. Is it Chiron? One of the moons of Pluto, and obviously Pluto is related to the subconscious there as well. I've also heard that when we cross over to get past the archons, which are our own cons, they're us. When you cross over, you have to tell a story, which is our gold. Our story is our memory, and our story is our identity as well. And I think it relates to the Ba, the Egyptian part of the soul, which is a human-headed bird, which is what crosses over when we're dreaming, which relates to water, and the number 21, which corresponds to this grand trine we have at the moment. That I'm trying to make the connection between water and gold here again, that we cross over this water, the rivers in our mind, but it's important that we hold on to our identity and our story, which is our gold. And I think that relates also to our ancestors and connecting to parts of ourselves from the future, from the past, and sort of finding these fragments of us, so that when we do eventually die, we've already died many times before that. This process of being alive is about learning how to die, how to shed our skin, and grow. It's about going inwards. So you shed your layers and you go inwards. So it's not about seeking things outside. It's about going inwards, so that when we do die, when we cross over, we can tell a story. We have our identity, and this relates to AI and this digital identity too, because that is the first step towards making us artificial, is linking us with this artificial identity. And with in 2020 you had event 201. 21 is the Ba. 201 would be boa as well. The boa constricts, like there's a constricting energy in 2020, and this is all about, it's kind of like reverse alchemy, because it's about extracting the gold, the identity, extracting the Ba, extracting the soul, because the soul is the Ba, rather than the opposite, which would be turning the lead into gold. It's like they want to try and turn the gold into lead, hence all this LED lighting. There's no coincidence there. So this kind of alchemy, I've just shared another image there, because in my mind's eye I see a link between Charon, who carries the deceased across the rivers, Chiron, who's the wounded healer, whose symbol is a key, because you need keys to unlock doors in your psyche. Otherwise, you'll continue in the loop. You need to have keys to open the doors, which are guarded by the guardians of dimensions, the gods or the archons or higher selves, whoever. And the archons are our cons. It's to do with time as well, like the hour, because everything happens within time. So there's a correlation between Chiron, and Kairos as well, which is the north of Saturn, to do with transmutation, turning the lead into gold, going into the subconscious, going across the waters. So I'll throw Anubis in there, and Saint Christopher, the dog head as well, who carried the Christ child across the waters. Obviously Anubis and Anu, Saturn, it's all the same essence here. There's different names, Kairos, Chiron, Charon. They're all very similar, and there's a similarity there for a reason.
Let's think about the city in Egypt for a moment.
Ah, yes.
So what's that about? Cairo. Yeah, that's definitely like this. When you look at the symbol, I keep thinking to myself like this is like, it's like the hexagonal symbol minus the 90-degree angle. Is it 90? No, it's not 90-degree. I'm talking nonsense. What is it like? Um, 6 times 60. It's a 60-degree angle, yeah? It's supposed to be 360-degree angles, is it not? But it doesn't look like it, does it?
What is?
I'm wondering if those are supposed to be 60-degree angles.
Where?
It's just interesting.
Okay.
Between the black lines where they meet, like this, the K.
Right.
But I think it's just been stylized as a K. I think it's supposed to be 360-degree angles.
Oh, okay.
Because that would be 6 60-degree angles in a circle around, which is 6 times 6 is 360 degrees, right?
Yeah.
And so this is half of a circle, right? Those 3 angles should amount to 180 degrees. Well, they do, because it's a straight line. Any number of angles in a straight line is 180 degrees. But I'm guessing they should be 3 equal angles. Namaste, Star. How are you doing? Hope you're well. So that's quite interesting, because then it would symbolize 666, wouldn't it? Or 60, 60, 60.
Interesting.
And that's like, that 6-pointed star is basically an X like that with a line drawn through it, right? An X like that with a line drawn through it, where each angle is the same, 60, 60, 60, which is 6 angles of 60 each, which in itself is quite an interesting geometric thing to consider. And so we don't really think of the hexagram like that, do we? We don't think of the hexagram as being 6, 60, 60 on one side, 60, 60, 60 on the other side. But we probably should. And that'll give us like an interesting perspective on.
So you mentioned obviously Cairo, the capital of Egypt.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Cairo is pronounced hero. And Horus the Elder was known as Heru, Heru, because there are 2 different Horuses. There's Horus the Younger, but then there's Horus the Elder as well. And obviously at Cairo, in the pyramids, there's it's related to Orion's belt, which is this Sirius, and related to Sirius, and also the Dog Star or the Dark Star, and Anubis. So this is all like saying to me like inwards, because the XP, the Cairo symbol, is in the center of the cross. And the what was it? Yeah, and then obviously the Dog Star is the Dark Star, which is the Black Sun, which is like our inwards sort of intuition, which is obviously Anubis is the black dog as well, which is the Anu, which is Saturn, hexagram, the heart, and the abyss, which is the water or the dark, which is inwards.
That's quite interesting. I wonder how old the city of Cairo is.
It sounds, it reminds me of obviously, yeah, Cairo, and Cairo as well, the north of Saturn.
You see, the city of
Cairo
Cairo was founded 1,000 years ago. Yeah. And like they're saying that it comes from Islamic language, right? But I'm like, predecessors, the area has been inhabited for centuries, right? Is a tent. It is located near an ancient Egyptian sites like the pyramids of Giza. So, what was that place called back in ancient Egypt? I don't think we know, do we? We probably don't have that information, but it'd be worth looking at that, because they say that the city Cairo is related to the planet Mars in its name, the Vanquisher.
Ooh, that's interesting.
So it's related to the city of Mars, the Vanquisher, and 180. That's a 9. So this glyph here is talking about, is talking about 180, and 180 is effectively, Mars. That's number 9, right? And so it's quite interesting, when you really get right down to it and you start looking at what it is. The notion of Cairo and why is it related to Mars? Yeah. And what is our obsession with Mars at the moment? This idea of bringing Mars here, going to Mars. Elon Musk, the Musketeers' obsession with Mars. And our stories and our old mythologies all seem to link up to Mars as well. The original stories of Alalu was on Mars. And there are a number of Mesopotamian deities that are associated with actually going to Mars, being banished there. So there's some interesting relation, I think, between where we're at now and where we were then. And number 9, let's not forget this. Number 9 on the enneagram is that activist, that activity and motion. Not motion, it's not the right word. The movement and action that produces the apocalypse. So 9 represents apocalypse, the end of an epoch, right? Epoch collapse. At the end of an epoch, the epoch collapses and it produces the beginning of a new epoch. So 9 is the turning of the one epoch, and it goes through the center, the eye of the storm, which I actually haven't put in the center there, which, if you can see in the center, is a 0. By the way, with this enneagram, this is the full Chaldean seal, that I've got here. This is the full Chaldean seal of the enneagram. So this is where the enneagram came from. Well, according to Ikaza, this is where he got it from. This is what it looks like. And there are three enneagrams here. Yeah. So there is the yellow one, and then there is the blue one, right? And then there is the green one, and the green one consists of 3 triangles. And those 3 triangles are quite interesting because they represent 9, 3, and 6 on the one, which adds up to 18, which is 9. And then the next one represents 1, 4, and 7, which adds up to 15, which is 6. And the other one adds up to 3. So you got 3, 6, 9 running through a cycle within that little one. So there's something quite interesting that connects 9, I think, to the 666, right? Notion of Mars. And I think, like, deeper investigation of Mars is probably going to bring us quite a lot of like insight into the idea of war, which is what our modern civilization was really essentially been about.
Yep.
I mean, that's like been the biggest thing, isn't it? Like on our planet for the last sort of 100 years, we've just been at war all the time. And there's always like at least 3 or 4 wars running. And they're big wars. Like, what have we just ended the Ukraine war? Just before the Ukraine war? Well, we also had like a little bit of an Iranian Israeli conflict. Oh, and then of course there's Israel. Can you call that a war? What's happening next? That's just genocide. Okay, let's just call it what it is. But it's sort of like war. It's just like when the 15-year-old kid goes into the playground and starts beating up on the 5-year-olds, right? It's still sort of like war. Just the 5-year-olds don't know what's going on, and they just get clobbered by this big kid, you know. So, you know, but it's pretty much defined us. Yeah. Well, what are our big memory points on this last century, right? The Second World War. And for the Americans, the Vietnam War. And before that, World War One. And before that, the Americans will talk about the War of Independence. So, like, it's pretty much what we base everything on, you know. If you're talking about the 1944s, 1940s era, what do you call it? You call it the Second World War era. It's pretty crazy if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Howard. They've taken warfare to the next level.
Are you able to pull up your graph of the enneagram again?
Yeah, man.
A few weeks ago, I was listening to your I think it was a monologue on YouTube. Oh no, what was it? It might have been the round table. Anyway, sometime that you pulled this up and you were talking about it. It might have been it was the video you made about this actually. But anyway, I was kind of going through 1 to number 9 and what they meant, and it's something I'm still working on. But the number 1 is the leader, but its detriment can be that it's the only one. And number 2, the empath, wants to help others but forgets about the self. Number 3, the optimist, to see the best in things, but the mist can sometimes deceive. Number 4, the builder, a man whose castle is built with only his thoughts can force others away. This can be other parts of himself as well. Number 5, the adventurer.
And he's always left with the bill.
Yeah. And number 5, the adventurer, scattered, one who travels so far with spirit, but needs a tether. Anchor is key, a pin. You need a pin with the spin. Grounded and the arc and ankh, and then Mercury comes to mind with the number 5 as well. Number 6, the artist, vanity, the hex effects. See, some of these I haven't quite finished yet, but yeah, number 7, the mystic, head in the clouds, detached from reality, ungrounded, missed it. Number 8, workaholic, materialistic, running out of time, stuck in a loop, work, consume and fill, avoiding core issues. Number 9, activist, impulsive, frustrated. 9 is know in German, which means to know, and to know what's right and wrong is the path of the activist. But yeah, I started doing that the other day, and it was kind of helped me understand them a bit better by like knowing that the 5 is related to the mist. No, hang on, was it number 7? Yeah, number 7, the mystic. And it's like if you've got your head too far in the clouds and detached from reality, and you're ungrounded, you can miss it. Because mystic sounds like mystic. And it's like that if you sort of play around with these words, you can be like, mystic. Yeah, but if you're too much of a mystic, you can miss it. If you're ungrounded, which kind of connects the two of this reality and the next, it's important to have a tether or an anchor. So yeah, that was bringing much more stuff up for me personally than the other enneagram, just in the wordplay of you know, of what they are, you know, because I was looking at the other one as not 4 as the builder, but 4 as I can't remember what it was, and like, you know, 6 instead of an
they
artist.
try and equate 4 to the idea of what 7 represents, which is when you're going into yourself. What do you call it? Psychologists call it. It's a psychological jargon term, which is going into one's own mysteries. What do you call it? But anyway, that's. In fact, I can probably Google it and find it. It really disturbs me when I try and Google enneagram. All you get is that same system everywhere. It's quite shocking because it's not actually an enneagram. Like mathematically, it's not. Individuation. So they put number 4 as individualist, and that represents individuation. And the process of individuation is self-knowledge, knowing who I am, right? So a psychologist, you'll go to them for individuation, and they'll send you on a path to looking inside yourself to know who you are. But that represents number 7. I've written and used the word mystic for that because the whole process of finding out who you are isn't that the path of the mystic? You know, who am I? I'm a mystery. I don't know who I am.
Yeah, mystery, opposed to the history. So the mystery is all about creating your own story, I guess, whereas history is following somebody else's story. So to find your own story, you need to go through the water, which is the mist, I guess. I'm sure there's a story of, is it the Mists of Avalon, or is it like to do with the 2 dragons and the tower and Merlin? What is that story? I know Indy's
Is it
brought up
the
before.
2 dragons?
Yeah.
And this is a story also about Rupus Nigra. Rupus Nigra is guarded by 2 dragons. And these 2 dragons curl themselves around this black rock, right? Rupus Nigra this has got to do with that in the center of the world, there's this high mountain, and it's a single magnetic mountain called Rupus Nigra. And these 2 dragons control this space and protect this mountain. No one can get access to it. They reckon in India that Kailash is the same myth, but I don't know. I think North Pole.
I was talking about that on the round table just briefly, not about that specifically, but I mentioned that the dragons being cast out of our minds, like our dragons protect our monatomic gold, and that's why dragons are associated with caves, because our gold, or this spark, is buried deep within us, and it's protected by dragons. And there's a link here with this. Obviously, there's a link with the outer worlds and inner worlds, like black rock being magnetic north or the center. You can also relate it to Saturn, or the North Pole of Saturn as well, the hexagram water. And when we die, we go up or we go north, wherever. And I think that what was my point is that it's interesting to hear this story again about this dragons and the black rock, because obviously black rock, they own pretty much most corporations, and that seems to be where the gold or the currency or the water is going, is to black rock, like in the digital realms. Also, like our literal gold as well, like what energy is going there, like literally. And yeah, it's very interesting. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but
Not at all. Carry on, brother. I just brought this up for history and mystery.
interesting. Yeah, no, I was finished. I was kind of just trying to work out what I was saying as I was saying it, but it was just interesting to hear that story of the dragons and black rock and the mist and our mist inside ourselves, like the mystery of ourselves that we have to go through to get to the black rock, which is our magnetism, and it relates to Saturn as well, which is also relating to the heart chakra, which is to do with magnetism also. And this dragon energy and how we've been made to fear dragons when really dragon energy is our potential. And the two dragons, obviously the Caduceus, which is the code users, which reminds me of Lucifer, Lucifer, and light codes, and that these two dragons are light codes which are orbiting around black rock, which is our heart. And yeah, I'm gonna stop banging on now. That is something I'm gonna work on in the future, though, is try to sort of tell this story in a bit more of a coherent way, because there's lots of stuff which is coming to me with this dragon energy and magnetism and money and black rock and stuff, but it's a bit too much for me to just like spitball it right now because it won't make sense. So I'm just gonna leave that tab open. Another tab. Yeah, what's this card about then?
Well, there's two trees there. History and the mystery. History and mystery. And as you can see, you know, it's history has got flames on it, which are flowers, I suppose, and the mystery has the serpent and the fruits upon it. So, and notice between the two of them, what do we see? Rupus nigra, right? There's that single phallic pyramid kind of mountain structure reaching up to the heavens. So I think, like, you know, this symbol is basically speaking about this, and obviously it's the sixth card, right? Now, here's an interesting point. When we're talking about it as the sixth card, it's really important to invert them, right? Because as the process of ascension, yeah, in terms of the process of ascension, you get an inverted meaning of the cards, right? So the first card of ascension is the last card, the 21st card, yeah? And that 21st card ends with the process of the first card. So that way you could look at the sixth card as also being related to the 15th card. Does that make sense to you? It's the 15th card of ascension, but it's the sixth card in the order of events. And so, but the major arcana do represent the process of ascension. And by ascension, I don't mean any of that weird new age nonsense. I mean, when I say the word ascension, I mean a process of individuation, of self-knowledge, gaining full disclosure of who I am in this universe, what this universe is, how it works, and my purpose here, you know, and a state of union within myself that puts me in an equitable state of information with everything and everyone else. So, but yeah, so that's quite interesting when you look at it in that fashion.
Mhm.
So then you have to say, what is this? What is the 16th card? And why is this tree related to that process? And like, let's pull it up for you. Let's get the tower in here. Gotta take a look at it. Take a little bit of look-see, wook-see. Gonna have a little bit of cook-see poo. Okay, so there we go. So here we have.
Before you move on,
Yeah.
just really quickly, are you able to go back to the
Yeah.
last card? Sorry.
Yeah.
Get some
Got them
water.
hands side by side.
Awesome. So I'm not sure if anyone else sees this, but the figure in the middle reminds me a little bit of the Green Man. Have you thought that? Like the leaves?
Totally.
Yeah, which is Saturn. And then
Yeah.
you have the number 6. And then
And
Yep.
this is Aquarius,
Oh,
right?
how's that?
Let me show you. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, just give me a second. The
I
star.
need to go in 5 or 10.
Fair
by the
enough,
way.
brother. The star. Trump. No, seriously? They show me his face. I didn't look for him. You can't even put something Trump in here without getting Mr. Trump's face like shared with you. Just let me get a nice, decent size card. So here we go. So there is the star, right? And notice the androgyny, right? And this, she represents an angel effectively, right? This is the angel of the water bearer, Aquarius. And so in her process of ascension, damn. Yeah, no, it's all good. In her process of ascension, I thought I closed it down. She becomes. Did I close down the other one? No, I didn't. She becomes this. Does that make sense to you? There's a certain element of self-sacrifice that represents the 17th card, the 17th trump. And the 17th trump is related to that Aquarius, which is related to how we interact with our generation, with our culture, with the people around us, right? So it's got to do with our normal socialization, shall we say. And when we come back to the lovers is really about how we express those forces of polarity within us that are the expression of communication of Gemini, right? Which is how we communicate with others. So we've got Aquarius and Gemini having this relationship, and both have to do with interaction with the other. So yeah, brother, I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, the sorry, what was it? The star card, the Aquarius looks much like an image of Enki as well. There's a picture of Enki which is flowing from, like, obviously water from one place to the other as well. Whenever I see the star card, and obviously it's a number 8, 17, which is Saturn as well, and Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. And of course, Aquarius and that, well, there's a connection between Enki and Aquarius, like the water bearer.
Absolutely, yeah.
as well, and obviously Saturn there as well, being a number 8.
Look
Yeah.
at number 5. Mercury is at the center of Saturn. Yeah. In the center of the Saturn square is Mercury. And all of these numbers, like 4 plus 6 is 10. 10 is 1 plus 5 is 15. 3 plus 7 is 10 plus 5 is 15. 1 plus 9 is 10 plus 5 is 15. 8 plus 2 is 10 plus 5 is 15. 5 is the mystic number that relates to Saturn. So this card represents an element of 5 of Mercury, right? Which sits at the center of this archetype, which is the feminine archetype of Saturn, yeah, which is Aquarius. So there's this like interesting connection, between these two, and just the association here with this one is really interesting, because look, there's him and her falling out of the tower, right? Which is one gigantic erection that's been, struck down. And you see these things here, these little flames up here falling out of there. Now let's go back to this one. What's on the tree? His tree. You with me?
Yep.
Those little flames on his tree are the same flames that are falling out of the tower. So he has basically corrupted the whole thing with his story.
So would the tower be, because obviously there's a crown on top of the tower, so would the tower be related to the mind if there's flames or fire coming out of it? My reasons for that is that the more masculine side is the ka, which is the vital essence or life force, like the air and the fire, which is more related to the mind. And obviously there's electricity coming down like a lightning bolt, and fire coming out of the tower.
Exactly. It's what disconnects us, which is what this card is showing, that disconnection from nature. The disconnection from who we are.
It also reminds me of the Judgment card as well. Do you have that to hand at all?
I can have it pretty easily to hand.
Awesome.
That's Libra. I love the Judgment card.
The scales. Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful card, because it's sorry, did I say Libra? Did you mean justice or judgment? I thought you meant justice.
Judgment.
The final judgment. Okay, that's Shin. Give me 1 second. I automatically jumped on justice there because I love that card's the way I love the scales and the sword. I've always loved swords. So yeah, judgment. This is a very interesting one.
Yeah, number 20.
Same angel.
Yeah, so number 20 is related with Anu, Saturn, the father of Enlil and Enki. But the reason why it reminds me of the Tower card is you've got the three windows at the bottom. So on the Tower card, there's 3 black windows, and then there's 3, whatever they are, one's a black cube in the middle where people are coming out of. So are those people coming out of the black cubes, or are they coming out of the tower? Because there seems to be a relation between all these cards are connected, really, but the Tower card and the Judgment card seem to be related. Also, yeah, if you pull up the Judgment card again.
Just give me 1 second. There we go.
Okay, yeah. So it's got the St. George flag on there for some reason. I don't have I mean, I do have an image, but I don't really want to get sidetracked. But I just do need to mention quickly that all the images of Saint George slaying the dragon really reminds me of the maiden, the mother, and the crone, because it's very interesting. So here you have the number 20, Saturn or Kronos, which is giving judgment. And then with Saint George, there's always a maiden, always. And the dragon seems to represent the mother. So you have the maiden, the mother, which is a dragon, or Tiamat, and then you have the crone or the Kronos slaying the dragon. I don't have an image to hand, but it's interesting that, I don't know, I just made that correlation because the flag of Saint George, and it's Saturn, and then Kronos, and then I definitely think there's something there which warrants more investigation, which I'm going to do, because I've only just recently started looking into these cards, and it's so interesting, like with the numerology and the images and stuff, and it's so interesting. Like my path into all of this research has been a bit of a strange one, because lots of people have sort of started off by looking at tarot, and I never have, and I'm just, my mind's blown. And lots of these tarot cards as well, when I look on Pinterest, they have slightly different images. Like the death card would have the sun behind the two, in between the two towers, but then there's another death card that someone else has made where the horse is just, the guy on the horse is just slain the priest, and then the sun is slightly higher and it's followed by a black cloud, and it's like there's a story within these cards, and it's interesting how they all relate to each other as well. But yeah, I'm a complete novice with these cards. So that's why when I'm seeing them, I'm like, oh, there's this and there's that, and so I'm definitely going to start to investigate these more. They're so interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, like you mentioned that the death card, right? Which is the 13th card. You notice the line there between the light and the shadow behind us.
No.
Look at these horses' legs. So like the light is falling on the ground here, right? You can see there's gold where the light is falling. If you look just beyond the gold, right, there's water, and there's a boat traveling across the water. Can you see that there? Yep. But it's all gray because it's in the shadow. So that's like the sun is obviously setting in the distance. You can see the sun setting between the two towers, right? Look how it looks like an eye.
Yeah, I think that the sun, I'm not sure if is the sun setting or the sun rising, because there's another card.
Well, yeah.
Another death card where the sun looks slightly higher. So whether it's rising or setting, who knows? But I do think that symbolizes Cancer and the capstone in between the two pillars, which would also be the capstone of the pyramid as well. And the eye on top of the pyramid, the Eye of Horus.
Exactly.
And also there's with the number, the, what is that called? Is it a Tudor rose on the flag?
Yeah, it's that's exactly what it is. It's also it's you know, if you look at it, it's really the pentagram.
Yeah. Well,
it's really what you're talking about. It's humanity. It's the human, the sign for human.
Yeah. So right in the middle, I can see the pomegranate right in the center. The pomegranate seed, which is related to the underworld and Persephone. And then also there's 5 fives. There's 5 leaves. 5 feathers. There's a 555, which equals 15, which is a 6. Obviously relating to Saturn.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you can see as well, you know, there's a lot of like really interesting symbolism here. If you look at like the king, for example, you know. Well, the king, the priest, the priest king. I think this is the priests that were in charge, and there's something quite phenomenal here, showing us the cross on the hands and the posture, and that there doesn't seem to be any slowing down. Look at his staff laying on the floor. Yeah, there's the queen. She's been trampled. Like nobody gets out of here. There's a crown on the ground, you know. So it's like it's powerfully talking to us about like time will transform you. It will change you. It will leave you behind. There's a lot of really like powerful, but getting back to this sort of connection here, judgment does hold a very interesting place. When you look at judgment, it's a 20th card. So judgment relates to the magician, like in a way. There's forms of Gematra everybody knows, but there's Notikaran. There's 3 forms of permutations of numbers, and those permutations of numbers can jiggle the major arcana around with the Hebrew alphabet, basically, or Paleo-Hebrew, and essentially Phoenician. So these 22 symbols relate to each other in different ways. Like, for example, in the one hand, the fool relates to the world, right? The fool and the world are touching. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about, right? I've created a, let's see. Okay, here you can see. So if you look at this, this is the tree of life. So here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then 9 crosses the event horizon where there is nothing, no number, which rebirths itself as 1 again, but now it's 10. So here are the numbers 10 being represented, the 10 cards of the minor arcana, right? And the 10 cards of the minor arcana also have the 4 court cards represented here too. And to see the 4 court cards, you can see the 4 court cards represented here, right? And look at these numbers. Just look what they do. They all permute, right? They all permute back to 10. The reason I'm showing you this is you'll see that there's this interesting 1 and 9 make a polarity. 2 and 8 make a polarity, right? 7 and 3 make a polarity. 6 and 4 make a polarity. You're seeing this being shown here, right? In the Saturn square. So Saturn square is showing you how these numbers make these powerful polarities, and that these 4 polarities represent the 4 court cards, right? And that there are 4 elements represented in these 4 court cards. This is the crossover between the 1 to 9 enneagram, which becomes 10, in wands, in cups, in swords, in coins or pentacles. And so you've got the 4 elements represented on the numerations, and you got the 4 court cards represented with these polarities. 5 is always the one in the center. 5, as you see with the other Saturn square, which is how we decode the enneagram, is always in the center of the spinning wheel. And this, we must remember, is essentially a spinning wheel. So this spinning wheel thus has the minor arcana represented. Then we've got the major arcana too. We've got the green enneagram here. The green enneagram has got 3 triangles. 1 for the fool, 1 for the hanged man, and 1 for judgment, right? And those represent fire, water, and air elements, subjectively, the 3 mother letters. So there's your green enneagram covered. with each of those triangles representing one of those fundamental elemental attributes, the 369 of creation. Then you've got a yellow enneagram, which is obviously 9 relationships. And then you've got a blue enneagram, which is 9 relationships. And so these 2 9 relationships are speaking in terms of on either side of Libra. And or that splitting. Joshua, please, I'm doing a live. I'm going to count to 3 or I'm going to take action. Please, not now. So basically, he's running around being really cheeky. His poor mother. So you've got these 18 elements, and you got the 3 elements. Yeah, you've got the 21 elements, right? The white circle around the outside that contains all the numerations, that's the world. So this is a toric field that you're looking through a tube. Imagine this is like a tube of a wave, a swim of an ocean's wave that you're looking down, and you're looking through the world's lens. You're then, the whole enneagram is the world, and the 3 mother letters are the 3 green triangles, and the other 18 parts are what connect these others. So this is essentially, it's Chim. This is the tree of life, what we've constructed here, but it's a purely conceptual tree of life that doesn't have that funny top heavy look that the Jews have made so popular, or the Hermetic Kabbalists have basically made a staple. This is just a new way of interpreting the tarot, and the entire tarot fits onto this seamlessly, with the paths being connection. The process of moving towards an enlightened state represents the paths between the spheres, and these 9 heavenly spheres represent the 9 elements that fit into Malkut. And Malkut is essentially the sphere that contains the other 9 spheres in the tree of life. So that's why Malkut is the big sphere that contains all the other 9. So it's like it's basically the entire tarot unpacked and unloaded into a single composite system. And so you can use this to do tarot readings. Are you still with me, dear brother? I think he's been.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm
Oh, you
here.
are.
I'm just starting to cook, so I'm in the kitchen.
Sweet.
My laptop's balancing precariously on something, so that's why I muted. But yeah, just when you were talking, I was thinking the tarot, and I was playing around with it, and there's 22 cards, right, in the major arcana.
Yeah.
And that's is it Tav, the number 22?
Yeah, Tav is the world.
Tav is the world. Yeah, so I was just thinking Tav row, like the row, the movement of the Tav, the movement of the truth, the tarot, Tav row. So I was playing around with that. But yeah, it's very interesting what you're saying. I am listening. I'm just getting the dinner on.
Yeah, so I like getting back to what we were talking about a minute ago. This relationship with his tree and her tree. Her tree is the fruit and the serpent. His tree are the flames. And so the flames represent the minor arcana, right? And her tree represents the major arcana. So the 22 elements that connect all the parts, hence the serpent is a symbol here, because the serpent is what connects things. And these flames represent containers of energy, potentials. And magic has to do with 2 elements. The element of me affecting a change in the world is drawing from his tree, right? Because I want to invoke the powers to do something on my behalf. But her tree is the process towards self-knowledge, the process towards understanding how this all fits together. So the one's in internalizing her tree, and his tree is externalizing, Hence, he's got the, a phallic emblem hanging there, and she's got a Cataic emblem here. And between them, there's the peak. And that peak represents the potential of life, of evolution to move forwards. And this is all being administrated by this angel that, like you say, looks very much like the Green Man, but all funked up. But I suppose we should probably call it a day, unless you've got anything else you wanted to say, dear brother.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that with the lovers and what you were talking about with magic is obviously the hexagram, the as above, so below, as within, so without. The hexagram is obviously related to magic. So Saturn, the planet Saturn, very powerful. How we perceive time and space and density is a form of magic. And I've tried to find the origins of the word Hecate, and I found that it relates to the Egyptian god of magic called Heka. And I think Heka was the one that breathed air into Horus the Elder or something. But yeah, it's very interesting. I think that the time that we're in now, sort of in between the thinking and the feeling, the 4 and the 5 is a 9, and the 9 is a year in which we're in, and it's a wood snake as well. So lots of connections being made all over the place. And number 9 being completion. I think that is so important that we have a balance of the knowledge and intuition, the inner worlds and the outer worlds, the heart and the mind, because there's lots of energy. Like going back to the death card, and the white horse seems to symbolize the first horse of, or horse meaning framework or structure at its root. I think the framework or the structure, the first horse of the Revelations, the Apocalypse, is the white horse, and that corresponds to Pegasus as well. And Moonfeather brought up yesterday that a white horse called Proton was given to the Pope very recently. So the death card there of the white horse standing before the Pope is very interesting. When you have the rising sun or the setting sun, as we enter this new age, or the new age of Horus, the new age of hours, which is an anagram of Horus, because we measure time by the sun. So this is the end times, or the end of time as we know it, because we've been living in linear chronological time for a long while, but I think we're going to start tapping into this Kairos energy, this more present moment. I mean, we have to. I think as we start crossing over from this year to the next, people are going to have to start realizing how important it is to shed your skin. We need to shed what we knew about the world and open ourselves to these mysteries, to our mystery, to the worlds that have been concealed within us in these dormant light codes which lie inside our innermost cave. And then going back to the hero, the Cairo, or the hero's journey, you have to go into the cave and then come out with a sort of newfound perception of yourself and the world around us. And I myself have had to shed my skin many times looking into these mysteries. And as you shed skin, you become a bit lighter, and you sort of release the heaviness or the weight which has been put on us. So So yeah, I think my final thoughts for leaving it is that time is a potential. That Saturn isn't Chronos, isn't chronological, isn't linear. There's always two polarities, and the other polarity is Kairos, which is the opportune moment, or the flow time. And the opportune moment is right now. Like, we're at such a crucial moment of our existence, because it seems that there's many mythologies playing out right now in the collective. And I think they're inviting us to bring these archetypes into the world, to tap into our potential, which is to be guardians of dimensions, to be in the liminal spaces, to cross over to this world and the next, to have one foot in one world, one foot in another world, and bring messages forwards, for not the masses, but for the select few who want to hear these messages. And what a time to be alive at the moment. What a time to be alive. Yeah.
Indeed, it is. Like, we're at this precipice, and it's like right in the beginning. You were talking as well about the lovers, and I switched to the card, the magician, because we were talking about the two branches of magic. So what we call low magic and high magic, right? Or natural magic and high magic. High magic is all about self-knowledge. And natural magic is about creating changes around using, natural means. And so when we look at these two distinctions here, then we go to, this is the card for Gemini, who's ruled by Mercury, of course, right? When we look at the magician, we are now looking at the card, which is the card for Mercury. You see, now we're in the pure field of Mercury. And now he's got that wand of purity in his hand, where he's wielding it as one, which represents the polarity of his tree and her tree. And he's got his finger pointing down at the world and up at the heavens. And in a sense, you could also say that, like, this could be seen as representing, in an unbalanced way, Ahriman on the right, and on the left, Luciferian, if they're out of balance. When they're in a state of harmony and balance, we talk about the lovers. And this is partially what this pyramidic mountain represents, the ascent of evolution, when things are in a state of harmony and balance between the masculine and feminine, the yang and yin. And then the tower represents, of course, when his fire of trying to control the physical world and become obsessed with materialism reaches its conclusion, which is destruction. And so he loses his proverbial crown of the heavens, and they both come tumbling down, and they're covered in the waters of forgetfulness. You see that? So there's so much in this, man. We could just go on forever. But sending you all big love and blessings.
The star has, I don't know if you've seen their message about the 369 and the key to the universe. It would be cool to do a round table on 369 one time.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if Tesla did say that. I've heard somebody say that actually Tesla didn't say that. The 369 is certainly very interesting, but I'm not sure if Tesla did say that or not. Who knows?
That is interesting. But here we go. This sort of, in fact, definitely this. So this is the green, right? The green triangles, the green enneagram, the 3, the 6, and the 9, which is 9 plus 9 is 18, is 9. Then the 1, the 4, and the 7, which is 11 plus 1, which is 12, which is 3. And then the 8, the 2, which is 10, plus 5, which is 15, which is 6. So we've got the 6. Well, first we've got the 3, the 6, and the 9. And then within the first priming triangle, we've got the 3, 6, 9. So it's a recurring theme in the green enneagram, the 3, 6, 9, which is quite interesting. It's sort of fundamental to understanding the enneagram. And you can sort of see the way everything breaks back down when we look at this. So I think this will definitely be a really interesting discussion. It keeps coming up. It keeps coming up. And yeah, we see in these numerations, yeah, we see the same pattern being reflected, right? Here we've got the 6 plus 2 plus 3. And the 6 plus 2 plus 3, no, here we've got it 666. We've got it reflected in the form of 666, right? No, we haven't. Sorry. No, I'm talking nonsense. We've got the 1, the 2, and the 3, right? Which is representing 6. And then here we've got the 4, the 6, and the 5, which is representing 15. And then here we've got the 9, the 8, and the 7, which is that 9 plus 8 is 17, plus 7 is 24. So yeah, we've got the 6, right? And there we've got the 4 plus 6 is 10, plus 5 is 16. So we've got the 666 being reiterated here. So there's this interesting connection between the 666 and the 369 that needs to be investigated, I think. And I think that, sorry, yeah.
I think I might have missed something. In the chat, the star has mentioned a key and more keys. Did you say something about a key? I've just been distracted for the last couple of minutes. So the reason why that stood out for me is because Hecate is strongly associated with the 3, 6, and 9 and the number 13. And obviously Hecate is the keeper of keys. And the 3, 6, and 9 it has taught me a lot, because I heard that if you want to understand the universe, think of 3, 6, and 9. So it makes a pyramid, and obviously pyramid is pyramid, fire in the middle, and the number 9 at top is the gnosis, which is the third eye or the capstone. And then the 3 is to see, is the pitta patta. The 6 is the mata mata. So one side you have the masculine, one side you have the feminine. And yeah, I'd love to go a bit deeper into that another time. But yeah, the start, there's many keys to collect along the path. And yeah, I guess the 3, 6, and 9 certainly is one. And this is all about opening up doors in our psyche, or dormant doors, doors which have been awaiting for us to collect the key to open them. Yeah, so yeah, it would be great to do a round table on the just the pyramid, just the 3, 6, and 9, just the pyramid. Yeah,
we will definitely, we would absolutely definitely. In fact, I think it's going to be a done thing. I mean, so yeah, we can count on that.
I don't know what the plan is for this Saturday, but obviously Hecate is strongly.
It makes a lot of sense.
Well,
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, is Halloween, which is Friday, very close to Saturday, and that's obviously a reversed 13. And this time the veil is thinnest, and Scorpio is associated with Hecate, so is Halloween. So yeah, I'm not sure what the plan is for Saturday, but yeah, it could be an option.
I think definitely, because like it seems like I think it's high time for it. And even if you look at 666, right? 1 6 is 6, 2 6s are 12 is 3, 3 6s is 18 is 9, right? So these two sets of numbers are somehow like part of a systemic connection, a structure. So I think it's definitely a powerful key to manifestation and understanding sort of the world we're in. And what better time to consider that when we're talking about our ancestors and our legacy of not being alive and being alive, right?
Yeah.
And celebrating that, life is short and sweet. And I think the 369 represents that structure of budding and development.
Yeah,
The development.
Our ancestors are guarding the doors in our minds. That, like a good teacher knows, you can't force somebody to go through a door. You can only show them the way. It's up to us to collect the keys to show our ancestors that we're ready to step through the door. And there's many doors, many paths. And yeah, I think collecting these keys along the way is all part of the journey, all part of the game or whatever. And I really think that these guardians of dimensions, gods, archons, they're us. They're our ancestors as well. So yeah, it would be awesome to have a conversation about that. Yeah, and obviously N key as well. I think N is related to is N inwards? N in Spanish. N is in. Yeah, N is in. So N key is in key, is the inner key, and N key is related to the earth, the heart, water. But yeah, I've really got to go now. I've really enjoyed our chat, and thanks for everyone who's been in the chat and the sidelines as well with all the great inputs. I've been meaning to go for ages to get on with dinner, so I better shoot now before I get into trouble. Big love.
Big love, dear brother. Thank you. It's been an honor as always. And enjoy your supper and love to your family. Om Shanti.
Yeah. Take care, everyone. See ya.
Big love. Yeah, people. I think that seems like definitely what this weekend's round table is definitely going to be focusing on. I think the 369. It's you couldn't find a more perfect time to really consider it. The numbers are interesting as well because it'll be the 1st of November, right? So the first day of the 11th, right, month, and that'll be of the 25th year of the 20th century. So 45 plus 12 brings us to 57. And 5 and 7 brings us back to 12. Macrocosm brings us back to 3. And 3 is probably a really good place to start constructing the idea of 369 from, because it's that expansion of Jupiter that gives rise to the construction of Mars, and it requires the harmony of Venus to maintain the structure. The hexagram is the central key to, and it's sort of the central key to magic as well. If you think about a 369, it's fundamental. You need that expansiveness of Jupiter. We tend to repeat a spell 3 times. Why? Because Jupiter adds expansion potential and energy to that. We generally lock it in with the hex and the hexagram, right? And the reason is that hexagram holds the structure of the mysteries together. And then the action of Mars, the ritual, the work, the what gets done is a reflection of these 2 principles on the material plane. So these 3 elements seem to work together in order to bring everything to fruition. Sending you all big love, big blessings. I see we've been almost 3 hours. I don't know how that happened. It was supposed to be an hour and a half. Big love, Howard, the star. Rachel, sending you big love. Namaste. I hope you guys enjoyed. And blessed be to everybody that's been in the chat. Shequels, and sending you all peace, love, harmony. Don't forget to smile. Keep smiling. Never stop smiling. Om Shanti.